I was born in Hobart, Tasmania, at 3 months early, so I was a premature baby along with my twin sister. My twin sister died the next day, but my first home was in a hospital for about 3 months, and before they took me home to where my parents lived. They weren't aware of my hearing loss because in those days they didn't know how to do this, and it wasn't until I was about 3 or 4 that I was playing in a sand pit, and my mother was calling me to come home for lunch, and apparently I never heard her, and she called me about 3 or 4, 5 times, and then she came up close behind me and said, "Kevin, why didn't you come home for lunch? I didn't hear you." And that's when she realised there was something wrong with my hearing. It took me a long time to learn how to talk properly, so I had a lot of trouble with my speech at that time. Apparently I went to school, a normal school, and I was sent to various doctors, and one doctor tried to test my hearing, but all he did was clap his hands like that, and I turned around to look at it, and he said to my parents, "He can hear, he can hear that all right." So that wasn't what they wanted, so there was something missing there. It wasn't until we moved to a new area in Tasmania, up the northwest of Tasmania, that I went to a bigger school, and the school nurse told my parents that I needed to have my ears tested properly. So they sent me to the Department of Health Exclusive Laboratory in the nearest town and had my ears tested, and they found that I had a lot of hearing loss and had profound hearing loss right down to the bottom of the, the curve. How did I cope during this time? Well, the teacher would write on the blackboard and mumble away, and I couldn't understand the words she was saying, so I suffered a lot in school, particularly in the subjects of maths and anything that dealt with working from a blackboard. And the only subjects I did well in was the books that I could read, like history, geography and economics and subjects like that. I eventually went to high school and then to college and then worked for 2 years, but I found that I suffered with the telephone calls. I couldn't understand telephone calls, so that impacted a lot on my working ability. So I had to resign and work in a factory with all the noises in the factory. But I also did further studies at Charles Sturt University, or at that time it was called Riverina College of Advanced Education, and then I did a library science course there, and I really enjoyed that course, and I did it all by long distance learning, so I didn't have to attend lectures and tutorials and things like that, all by reading. I eventually ended up working for the Commonwealth Government in the Department of Immigration, and I was treated fairly there, but I had a lot of trouble understanding the tutorial groups they had there, explaining legislation and things like that. And so I said to my team manager that I had a lot of trouble understanding the group discussions on the various legislation affecting our work, and I was wondering if there was a support group that I could turn to and learn from them. He said he will ask around, so he contacted the Human Resources Centre, but they said there was no support group. And then he said, "Why don't you start one up yourself?" So I started up a disability network within the department with the emphasis on the A, to emphasise ability, and not only cater for people with hearing loss, but only 2 other people who had hearing loss. Also people with sight impairment and disabilities with walking and things like that. And we used to meet together once a month to discuss our issues. And the department heard all about this, and they wanted me to go to all the different sections and tell my story, what's it like to have hearing loss. And so I had to tell them the story, what it was like. And in the end, when I left, they gave me a certificate of appreciation, saying how they appreciated the disability network and supporting others in the workplace. Hearing loss affects my ability to hear people in a group setting. I do have profound hearing loss, and the louder the hearing aids get, but they don't clarify the sounds very well. So every hearing aid I was getting, the sounds went up, everything went louder, but I was looking forward to hearing more clarity, to have understanding what people are saying, but none of that has been working. So I'm looking at the idea of having a cochlear implant, but I'm not sure if I want to do it. At this stage, I'm not eager to have a hole put in my head. That will have another impact on my life because I have to start learning to hear again. But I have trouble in group settings. I'm very isolated. I don't have many friends. I don't understand television very much without these devices. This round device I plug into the TV and transmit to my hearing aid with Bluetooth technology, and I'll get the live stream from the TV direct to the hearing aid, which is really good without having cords or anything around my head. And this one here is a MIDI mic, which I can use in a meeting, and it attached to the speaker is speaking, and it goes straight to my hearing aid, and also to hand around. But I'm not very assertive, and I want to be more assertive and let people know that I need help in listening properly. But I tend to avoid that. That's all I can say about this question. Talk face to face, to use the mini mic around the group. I'll come along to Hearing Matters and listen to the stories that people tell them, and read the Hearing Matters magazine to discover tips and ideas how to cope with people with hearing loss, and mingle with the deaf groups. Many years ago I mingled with the deaf group, which uses Auslan sign language, and I don't use Auslan because I'm not familiar with it, but it's interesting to know how they use it, and they made every effort to help me to understand what they are talking about. In social setting, we go on a walking group, it's very difficult to understand what people are talking about when they're walking along with you. And, I have to keep looking at the road because I have faulty eyesight at the moment, and turning my head to look at people talking to me, I miss out a lot. So the only social activity I have there is just walking with people and being with them, but not understanding what they're saying. And movies and things like that in a cinema, it's a bit hard to understand because some cinemas don't have closed captions, or most of them don't have closed captions, so it's very difficult to watch and understand the movies. So I depend on the person to tell me the story later on, see what they say. As I mentioned before, my audiologist recommended that I use these various items here, the mini mic, and this one also goes with the table discussion as well as the TV and all that kind of thing. And in a room, it should be a well-lighted room, and to avoid sitting behind the window, because I have to look at the face. I need to look at people's faces and to have them speak clearly, and to avoid putting their hands across their face. Telephones, good thing about the telephones, I use the smartphones because the calls go through the smartphone and it's connected with the hearing aids, and Bluetooth technology goes straight to the hearing aid, and the smartphone enables me to hear music and listen to videos on my phone and other discussion on there.